I'm going to be talking about one of Sauron's most devoted servants, the Lieutenant of Barad-dûr, the Mouth of Sauron. If you know me, you know I'm a big fan of the more darker characters or more evil characters in Tolkien's Legendarium. The Mouth of Sauron obviously being included under that umbrella. Now, the Mouth of Sauron is said to be a black Númenórean, one who is so old and so corrupted he forgot his own name, and it's not remembered or recorded by anyone or any tales. He joined Sauron's allegiance when the Dark Tower came back into power in, I believe, the Third Age. And due to his cunning and cruelty, he quickly rose in Sauron's ranks. He learned sorcery under Sauron's hand and came to know most of Sauron's mind. And it's believed that because of this sorcery that he was able to elongate his life for so long, because again, he's a black Númenórean. He's a mortal man. Not a whole lot is said on his physical description in the books. There are many adaptations as to what he may have physically looked like. However, if you've seen Peter Jackson's Return of the King in the extended edition, we see him with an eyeless helm and a mouth that is disgusting. His mouth is torn up and his teeth are disgusting, and that's to more or less imply that Sauron's words are so evil, just repeating them can cause your mouth to rot. I talked about him briefly in a previous video I made, and a lot of the questions I got had to do with the runes that were around the mouth of his helm. Those runes translate to mordor, which I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Again, I'm not a Tolkien linguist. If you have a problem with it, take it up with one of the Tolkien creators that knows how to pronounce it, because I'm not one of them. Anyway, mordor is Sindarin, which translates to voice of the abominable dread. Now, in the books, there's not much said about the actual history of the Mouth of Sauron or where he comes from. However, in an earlier draft of the chapter, The Black Gate Opens in The Return of the King, Tolkien says that he may have came from a house of wise and noble men in Gondor. He desired evil knowledge and then entered the service of the Dark Tower when it rose to power again. And I believe in an even earlier draft, it was said that he was actually kidnapped as a child and forced to go into the service of the Dark Tower. And then from there, he grew the desire to become more evil and truly serve Sauron. It's also in one of these drafts that Tolkien might have actually given him a name, which might have been Mordor. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I am just going based off what I know and what I've heard. If you want to know the proper way to pronounce any Tolkien names, I would hit up either Lee or Wizardway Chris, or even the Tangwar teacher, because I am not a Tolkien linguist, and they're the closest thing to him. So, Mordor is a Noldoran name, possibly meaning black darkness or black night. Obviously, that name didn't make it into the book, and in Lord of the Rings canon, the Mouth of Sauron still does not have a name, or at least he doesn't remember it, and neither does anybody else. Now, on to the fate of the Mouth of Sauron. Obviously, if you've seen Peter Jackson's extended edition of The Return of the King, you see Aragorn behead the Mouth of Sauron in a fit of rage and misbelief. However, in the book, that doesn't happen. Aragorn doesn't act in honorably by breaking the laws of war by killing the messenger under the white flag of parley. In the book, after his meeting with Aragorn and Gandalf, he retreats behind the Black Gate, and then what happens to him after that is unknown. Many assumptions can and have been made as to how or even if he died in the Third Age. Some can assume that he probably died during the assault before the Black Gate, and some can assume that he was one of Sauron's servants who retreated and lived into the Fourth Age after the destruction of the Ring and the fall of Barad-dûr. Like I said, no one knows. His fate after the meeting at the Black Gate isn't recorded. This is fun. I like talking about Lord of the Rings and other settings other than my Did You Know videos, because I get to go deeper into the little tidbits that I know about. I know it was long. I hope whoever stuck around enjoyed it, but thanks for letting me talk.